Welcome to the Whiskey Explorer. Thanks so much for tuning in for another episode, guys. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't had a chance to do so already, if you could please do us a quick favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us a comment down below, let us know what you think about this bourbon, and we'll continue the conversation at the Whiskey Explorer. And tonight, guys, we've got a very interesting bottle tonight. At least it's interesting for us because we can't actually even get this in my neck of the woods. This is Rowan's Creek Bourbon by Willet Distillery. Alright, so Rowan's Creek, like I mentioned, we can't get this or the sister product, which is the Noah's Mill, here in my area, which is Victoria, BC, Canada. We've never even seen this bottle here. We actually we aren't lucky enough to get any of the Willet products. So I do know that Willet can be a little bit polarizing, especially their pot still bourbon, which comes in a beautiful decanter style bottle that's shaped like a pot still, but apparently the bourbon that's in it is not very good. But they do have a very beloved line of their regular releases, which is like their family estate. They have a family estate bourbon, which is the purple top, which is quite elusive, quite difficult to even obtain, which is what I understand from my friends in the States. But they also have their 4-year rye, which is the green top. And I think they also have like a 6-year and some special release ryes as well. I know that at the Willet Distillery, they've got a whole like library of the purple top bourbons to try, which is fantastic. So if someday I make it to Kentucky, I'll definitely have to check out the Willet Distillery. So to make a long story short, yeah, we don't get this Rowan's Creek here. It says small batch, made in small lots, one batch at a time. It's straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey from Bardstown, Kentucky. It is bottled at 100.1 proof, or 50.05%. So kind of an interesting proof point there, but definitely appreciate that it's above the 45 mark there. So let's dive into this dram here. I have been meaning to try this one for a long time. Luckily for me, a friend was in the States and he picked up this bottle, and for him it didn't quite match his palate, so we were able to do a misfit trade. So I traded him for a different bottle that kind of wasn't really my jam. So it all worked out in the end, and I got this Rowan's Creek to try with you guys here tonight. Alright, so looking forward to this one. Alright, so let's have a quick look at the color in the glass before we dive into the nose here. So just having a look in the glass there, it looks like it's like a relatively light kind of copper color. I wouldn't even call that like a medium copper. It's somewhere maybe between medium to light copper in color. Alright, let's give it a quick swirl here and we'll go in for a nose. Cheers. Oh wow, so right away there's just a almost like a strawberry confectionery, very sugary, almost like strawberry candy note on the nose. Okay, you know what it's reminding me of is like those kind of fuzzy strawberries you get from the 5-cent candy aisle. Or at least back in my day they used to be 5 cents. With inflation, who knows what they are now, probably like 10 or 25 cents. But those kind of marshmallow strawberries that had like the kind of dusted or the granular sugar on the outside, that's totally what I'm picking up in the nose here. Very sweet, almost like a cotton candy type nose. Alright. So that kind of sweet confectionery sugar, strawberry sugar note kind of gives way to like a vanilla cherry Coke kind of nose. Really nice and sweet on the nose, nice and inviting. Almost like a young cherry, like, you know, like when it's like the cherry's kind of like a little bit white before it turns red. It's almost like that, so it's like fresh fruit as opposed to that deep, dark, rich kind of cherry note that you'll get on like an older age bourbon. I don't actually have an age statement on this, so I don't know what the age is on it, but I'm guessing it's probably somewhere between the, 5 to 7 year mark, somewhere in there. Otherwise, I think that Willet would choose to put the age statement kind of boldly on the front there to let everyone kind of know about that. So let's go in for another nose here. Yeah, nice cherry note on the nose. Some nice vanilla. There's also like a cinnamon spice in there, starting to pick up some baking spices. There's also a really nice kind of toasty oak, kind of sweet oak note in there. that I really, really, really like. It's really nice. So sweet toasted oak, vanilla, strawberry, fresh cherries. Oh, there we go. So there's like a little bit of like molasses, brown sugar note kind of hiding in the back there. Some nice cinnamon spice as well, but like on the sweet side, so like almost like a sweeter version of like a cinnamon heart, like one of those red candies you get at around Valentine's Day. All right, without further ado, let's go in for a taste. Cheers. Wow. This is a very unique, different palate. So the first thing that I got on the palate was that kind of strawberry note. It mixed in with a little bit of, like I said, the kind of young cherry note, as well as like some nice vanilla cream is developing. There's actually a really kind of nice mouth coating feel to this. And then in the kind of late palate, mid to late palate, there's a nice rush of like really kind of heavy cinnamon spice. So like really nice cinnamon and sugar, almost like a cinnamon toast crunch kind of vibe, but even more kind of peppery and spicy than that. So almost like with a dusting of like black pepper, maybe even like a touch of cayenne pepper in there. The finish is all spice. It's like really nice kind of lingering spice that kind of sticks around on the palate there. And for the finish on this, I would say this is actually like, maybe it's not quite a long finish, but it's a medium finish. And it does have a nice mouth coating presence to it. So there is some body to and texture to the actual, bourbon itself, which is really nice and really inviting as well. So it's kind of like palate enveloping, which is fantastic. So let's go in for another taste here. Cheers. Okay, there's also, now I'm getting a sweet rye note on the arrival. So there is like a nice kind of medium to strong kind of sweet spearmint note to the front of it, almost giving way to a very slight like sweet dill. And those would be the rye flavors coming in there. And that's actually really kind of a cool experience, because then it kind of transitions into that young kind of cherry, like the fresh cherry that I mentioned. Definitely like a strawberry note. And then mid palate is, and sort of the end of the palate, it's all about the spice. So nice, beautiful cinnamon spice character. Almost like I said, like a stronger version of cinnamon toast crunch. Some brown sugar mixed in there. And then there is this like, I know this might sound like a little bit off-putting, and I've had it in bourbons before where it was very off-putting, but it's almost like a wet wood note, like a musty kind of wood note. And in this case, it's actually not like unappealing, so I actually kind of like it. It's definitely unique. It's definitely a bit weird. I would not call this like really a traditional bourbon. This is something that's a little bit outside the regular norm. It's got its own unique, distinct profile, and I think that's what I really like, and that's what I really appreciate about this bourbon. I like what Willet's done here. I think this is a really tasty bourbon. If you guys can find this in your area, I think it's relatively inexpensive as well. Like in the States, I think it runs about $40 or maybe $45 somewhere in there. So it's not too bad, especially with that proof point. So I really enjoy this, guys. This gets my recommend because it's a very unique profile, and it is its own thing. Like it's its own animal. It's doing its own thing. It's not trying to replicate like a Jim Beam recipe or even, a wild turkey, although I love wild turkey. But, this is like its own thing, and I think it's really kind of cool to have that in your repertoire, in your whiskey collection. So that gets my recommend for a purchase, guys. If you see it in your area, go grab the Rowan's Creek by Willet Distillery. Until next time, guys, may your sails be full and your drams be fuller. Cheers.